When was the last time you were told no? Was it your dream job that you applied for that you didn't get? Was it a college that you had your heart set on and you didn't get accepted? Did you try out for a sports team and you didn't make the cut? Or maybe it was a relationship. You put your heart on the line, you risked vulnerability, only to be thrown down. Let's be honest. No one likes to hear the word no. It's a word that stings, causes feelings of self-doubt, disappointment, defeat, and inadequacy. It makes you question yourself, what was I thinking? Why did I even think I had a shot? Did I just waste my time? Before you know it, you're running through a mental checklist of everything you think you're not. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not worthy enough. Because you see, when you feel the weight and power of that two-letter word no, it makes you feel like all the doors have been slammed shut, and it halts your momentum. And if you're not careful, it can define you. But what if we can flip the narrative? What if instead of letting no be the end of the road, it can be a redirection? Instead of letting no define us, we can let it refine us. Because here's the truth. Some of the greatest turning points in life, they don't start with a yes. They start with a no. And I know this from first-hand experience. Back when I was working on my undergraduate degree at the University of Houston, at the time, I was a single mom holding down a full-time job and going to school part-time. My life was a constant juggling act. There were people in my life that didn't believe in me, that told me no. They told me I could never do it, that it would take too long, and that it would be too hard. At first, I refused to believe them. I was ambitious, motivated, and driven. I could see the finish line, even if it was miles away. But as the years wore on, years 4, 5, it started to feel less like a journey and more like a sentence. I felt like an inmate counting down semesters like days on a prison wall, checking off one class after another. The years wore on, and I was exhausted. The pressures built. Financial hardship, late nights, projects, missed milestones with my son. I started to question everything. Those outside voices of you can't do this started to become my inside voice. And soon enough, quitting started to sound a whole lot easier than continuing. I remember crying on my mother's lap and telling her, "Mom, I just can't do this. It's too hard. Maybe everybody was right." She sat me up and she said, "Christi, yes, you can. You have to dig deep and remember why you started." It was in that moment that I realized she's right. It's not always going to be this way. I just have to press through. I had to remember the dream, and I had to remember the belief in myself. I had to remember that the degree wasn't just for me, it was for my son, for my future. Looking back on that season of my life, it taught me 3 powerful steps on how to confront no, whether it was from an outsider or from within. First, I had to identify the 2 truths, their truth and my truth. You see, although others may have placed limitations on me, I had to decide whether I was going to live by their belief or my own. Their no didn't have to become my reality. And then next, I had to reflect. Every no deserved an examination. Was this a roadblock, a detour? Could I pivot? Would I still pursue my yes even though the path looked different? And finally, I had to make a plan. Once I separated truth over fear and focused on my direction, I had to come up with a strategy to move forward. My own personalized roadmap to yes. And that's how I did it. Not sheer willpower, but by my ability to pause, reflect, and choose my path, my truth, over somebody else's doubt. Think about it. We were wired to challenge no from the very beginning. From the moment we take our first steps, we start to hear it. No, no, no. Don't touch that. Don't grab it. What do we do as toddlers? We look you dead in the eye and we touch and grab it anyways. Or how about when we're teenagers? Our parents tell us, no, you're not ready. And soon enough, we're begging them to let us take the car around the block before the legal driving age. And one that's personal for me, no, you shouldn't wear the red lipstick. It's too much. What do? I wear the red lipstick. Because you see, we were born to test boundaries, to push back against limits, to believe instinctively that no doesn't have to be final. But as we grow older, the rejection starts to sound and feel different. It gets heavier. Maybe you didn't get approved for the home loan. Or maybe your spouse tells you that the marriage is no longer working out. Or you got passed out on a promotion you worked so hard for. But let's not focus on that. And little by little, the weight becomes heavy and it seeps deeper. And it starts to feel less like rejection and starts to feel more like failure. But let me tell you this. No is not a verdict on your words. No is not a label. It's not a life sentence. No is feedback. It's data. It's the universe handing you a note saying, not this way, not yet, but keep going. So what does it actually look like to turn rejection into redirection? Let's take a look at some of the most celebrated people of all time. People that we now identify with success and genius. Take Vincent van Gogh. He created over 900 paintings, but during his life, he only sold one. Imagine if he let that define him. Imagine if he's like, well, I'm not good enough, and he never painted again. We would have missed out on one of the greatest artistic legacies of all time. Or how about J.K. Rowling? Rejected by 12 publishers. 12 people told her that no one would read about a young boy wizard. What if she took those no's as the final word? There'd be no Harry Potter, no Hogwarts, no magical world that shaped an entire generation. Or how about Thomas Edison, who failed 1,000 times in trying to invent the light bulb? When asked about it, he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb just took 1,000 steps. That's not just optimism. That's clarity. That's grit. Or how about Steve Jobs, who got fired from the company that he founded? Imagine being told that you're not needed at the very company you created. Imagine how he must have felt. Rejected, betrayed, like a failure. He later mentioned that was one of the best things that could have happened to him, because it allowed him to enter into one of the most creative periods in his life, which he then returned to reshape the whole world of technology as we do it today. You see, these people weren't immune to failure. They weren't handed success. They were reshaped by the no. They were refined by it. And that's the shift that I want you to hold on to today. You're not waiting for permission. You're building towards your yes. And that's the power of staying with it. And that's the power of not letting no have to find yours. So the next time somebody tells you no, whether it's a boss, a college rejection letter, a gatekeeper, or even your own inner critic, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Where is this trying to take me? Because no is not a wall, it's a mirror. It reveals where you are and what you're capable of becoming. And if you lean into it, that no can become the greatest part of your greatest evolution. So go. Don't be afraid just because somebody couldn't see your vision. Push back against the no. Outlast the doubt. Outwork the silence and keep becoming, because the fighter is already in you. So let them see you show up and let them see you rise at your yes. Thank you.